Good morning, guys. I'm Chris, and welcome back to this Sunday's episode of Rift Amps. Just thought I'd run you through what I've got waiting in the queue out the front. So we'll start with the Laney LC15R. This one's coming in because it's been making some funny noises. He thinks it needs a new output transformer because it's making the same noises as it did the last time when he had to have that replaced by somebody else. So we've got to go through that and check that one out. I can't remember being inside one of these before, so interesting to see that. I've shown you the Gibson. That's still waiting in the queue. That one's making some funny noises and bits and pieces. This is the amp maker head that is now complete, ready to go. Got a PV down here, solid state PV that doesn't have working reverb. Need to get on with that. It's been waiting for ages. Sorry, Richard. I do know it is in the queue. What have we got here? Looks like we've got an 18-watt clone or something with a treble middle bass. Yeah, this one is I mean, it works, it's fine. The customer says he's just not very happy with it. He's not particularly enamoured with the sound or the way it plays. It has got some hum, he said, I think. Need to check the notes, but it's definitely in need of some work. Oh, it's a 2x10, look. Some golds in the back. Are they 10s? Yeah, they're 10s. Okay, interesting. But he's never been happy with the way this thing plays or sounds. So we're going to get that apart at some point and have a look at it. Need to put the cover back on it. I can't do it one-handed though. That is the bag cap that's already done. The Cub 2. That's all done, waiting for customer collect. Still hasn't collected that. What have we got here? This is the 65 amps Little Elvis. I can't remember off the top of my head what that's in for. I'll look on the sheet, but that's come in for some service and repair work. The two Marshalls that are done, the vintage Marshalls, they're done. We've got another silver panel Pro Reverb. This time the standard version, not the ultra linear one. I will show this on the channel. I've just noticed on camera, actually, it's difficult to see in real life, but there's some staining going on there, look, all the way around there. You can't see it in person, but on camera it's quite evident. Interesting. The other bag cap, the 2x12, the one that's done as well. This was the one that was cooking its output valves. Still waiting for customer collect. It's so heavy, I've been wheeling it around on a flight case because you'll give yourself a hernia if you pick that up wrong. Right then, another Bassman, but this time it is a silver plate amp with drip edge, so it should be 68 or 69, but probably quite unfamiliar to North American viewers because it is labelled the export amp. We see these quite regularly here in the UK. Obviously they're more common, but I guess you guys over in North America rarely see these. Black line plate, of course, it is one of the earlier types, but they were labelled export amp. Exactly the same as your standard early silver panel Bassman, but it does have a voltage selector on the back. That's the only real difference. Right, so what's it in for? Just a general service and a check over. So we'll go through it and see what it needs, make sure it's performing well, do all the usual bits and pieces. But this one is in more standard silver panel or silver plate condition than, well, as I usually expect to see. You know, the Tolex has got its marks and scuffs and all sorts going on. Let's just spin her around. Ooh. Cool, this one's quite heavy. So on the back here, we've got our voltage selector. We've got North America at 117 at the time. Then you've got 200, 210, 220, 230 and 240. And again, this goes back to what I was saying. You'd measure your mains voltage and you'd select which one was most appropriate. You know, if you're, for example, if your mains voltage was 225, you'd select 230, not 220. If it was 232, you'd go 240, if that was the option for you, of course. So it looks like it's had the ground switch removed, blanking plug in place. I think that's a different fuse holder. See that there? And I think someone has added a mid control to this and drilled another hole in the chassis, which is a shame. But, you know, these things do happen. The owner of this amp does like this amp. He's a big fan of it. He does like the sound of it. He gigs it regularly. Serial number is A49119. Okay. Just looking at the output valves, got a slight discoloration here and here. This one is worse. The sticker around the base is starting to wrinkle. So I think these are running quite hot. So already I'm thinking, right, we need to check the bias on this thing. UK plug. On the mains cable. But yeah, as I said, the general condition of this is okay. It's nice. It's road worn. It's not horrendous. At least externally anyway. I haven't looked inside yet. You know, corrosion on the metal parts. It's what you kind of expect to see on these things. Anyway, let's get the back panel off, the chassis removed, and carry on. Before I show you the chassis, I'll just show you inside the cabinet. It looks like somebody's taken a nice chunk out here. I don't ever remember that being factory. I don't remember seeing any others like that, which is a shame. And there's something going on here as well. It looks like there's a big tear out when they drilled that, the mount for the piggybackness. Let's look at the label. Bassman amp, AB165, export only. Power consumption, 175 watts. Now that's interesting. I wonder if that's at rated output or if that's maximum output. Ideally, it should be maximum. So when you're doing your calculations for your power supplies, you know, if you're doing a large show or whatever, and they need to know what your consumption is, you should give the maximum that this thing could ever draw. But we'll see. Anyway, so that's that. Anyway, let's look at the chassis. Okay, here we go. So first you've got the usual darkening around the output valves, pretty common. Unfortunately, this chassis has taken a bit of a whack, and I can actually see that the chassis has been pulled this way, probably by the transformer, and it's actually like curved banana in that direction. So it's had a bit of a drop before. Let's have a look at the transformers then. Power transformer. 27th week, 1968. Choke, 21st week of 1968. Output transformer, 28th week of 68. Right, okay. What else can I see? It's got some replacement Belton valve shields. And on this side, I can see whoever, this has obviously had a recap because they've written the values and whether it's which polarity each cap is. So anyway, we'll pull that off. Have a look inside. Two. Three. And finally number 4. Okay, should we play our game? Do we have inside Spragues, F&Ts, or some cheapies? What do we think? What do we think's inside? Let's go. Okay, interesting. It's got the tube amp doctor caps inside, which are made by F&T. Otherwise, he's glued them down. I'm not sure. Okay, happy with that. Let's look at the resistors. Okay, I don't think they were replaced when the cap job was done, so hopefully they're not noisy and they're still within spec, but that's where we are. Right, let's flip this thing over and have a look inside. Here we go then. So let's have a look. We'll start over here. Here's the voltage selector switch. You can see how that's wired. All the primaries come from the output transformer, and then you get the what am I trying to say? But they're all on the. Are they all on the? Oh, is that one wired? Oh, it's been defeated. Oh, that's okay. So they've removed that from circuit, which is actually not a bad thing. So there's no chance of it being selected on the wrong voltage. But I think they've used the 230 tap, not the 240, and it's on the neutral. Whereas the live is fused then switch, which is correct, but then goes into the neutral of the transformer. So that's currently out of phase. So we need to sort that out. Bias board had a recap and a replacement dropper. Original diodes are still in place. Okay. Looks like it's had the earlier bias circuit fitted. Is that right? Yes, it has. Yep. So that tag strip is now out of place. If you're looking through the board, it's had quite a few components replaced in it. Nearly all, in fact, all of the coupling caps. The electrolytics have been done, but they've used these multi-section 2525s. But somebody's soldering iron got a bit close there, didn't it? So that's no good. So we'll put something else in there. Shielded wires for both grids on V3, which is the normal channel. And we've got, here's the mid control, which comes off the mid cap. But then how does that, oh, I see, it's in series, right, or parallel. I'll work it out properly. Up to controls. It's had a lot of work, this amp, hasn't it? I'm seeing this for the first time as you are, so excuse me if I'm waffling on. Base channel looks to be... Oh, that's had a conversion too, hasn't it? It's had the base cap removed. Shielded wire on the input grid there for V1B. Base cap removed. We've got a 680 nanofarad cap here. So this has had like the Marshall tone stack done as well, which is a shame. I wonder if they did the right thing and changed the pot values as well, if they're doing it properly. Is that an 8K2 mid resistor? Yeah. Okay, so let's just check the sockets out. What's going on here? Oh, well, that negative feedback wire broke off immediately as soon as I touched it. That's no good. The output primary winding is out of phase. So you can see the green, which should be your positive, goes to ground, and the black goes to positive. So that's out of phase as well, which is how most of them were wired from the factory, actually. But we need to fix that. Not happy with that cap. We've got 100K and then 8K, 82K there. Yes, we do. So I can't even fire this up at the moment. Need to find out what's going on with all of this stuff. Then we can get some basic measurements. I need to talk to the customer because he did ask me to look at one thing and I can't remember what it was. So I'll give him a call now and ask the question. Well, I fell for it again. Some of you who are regular viewers of the channel will know, probably, I don't know, 8-9 months ago now, I did a rant in exactly the same place right here, talking about people who ask for custom amplifiers, or they want a clone of something, but they want it built properly or whatever. And I go through, I do a design, I spend time on it, I do some work on it, I make sure it's viable, I price it all up, and then they just go radio silent. You know, they get really excited and sending me loads of emails beforehand, but the minute you give them a price or you start, you know, doing some actual work on it, they just disappear off the face of the earth. And it's happened again. It's happened again. Now, I really should have caught this. I really should have caught this time. So, you know, recently we've had the Cornford Hurricane in, the one that had the dirty effects loop jacks and needed, it was time for a good service on it. Well, I received an email from a chap, not an email, sorry, a message through the website. And he said, would I be interested in building one for him? But in you know, in the Rift style, in the Rift style cabinet with my own tweaks and mods and my own take on that amp. Now, because he said he always was a big fan of that amp and that format, but he didn't like the aesthetics of it, and he didn't like EL84s. So would I be interested in doing like a Rift version, you know, or inspired by, or my own take on it? And I thought, yeah, do you know what? I've seen inside that amp. I too really like the way those things sound. So yeah, I would. But usually when people ask me to do these sorts of things, it's because the amps are rare or because they're very, very expensive and they're, you know, they're trying to, you know, I get asked, for example, to build a clone of the John Mayer 2 Rock all the time, you know, the original one that was, you know, many, many, many thousands of pounds, right? Speaking of which, I think I've got one coming in for service, an original. Keep an eye on the channel for that. But you know, and that's the sort of amp people ask for, you know, or they want train wrecks or dumbles or whatever it is. And that's fine. But anyway, Cornford Hurricane, they currently sell on eBay for around £600 to £700 UK pounds, probably $800-900 US dollars. So they're not expensive. They're very affordable, and considering how toneful they are, especially I think if you get rid of the Vintage 30 and put something else in there, like a WGS ET65, those things are killer, absolutely killer. So, you know, I should have caught that from the beginning, but it's happened again. I've done a whole layout, a 6v6 version, which I thought was really cool, keeping the reverb, keeping the effects loop, in a nice 1x12 combo. Quoted him a price, made sure it was all possible and I could do it. Sorry, my computer's making noises. And he's gone AWOL again. So now I don't know what to do, because I've probably lost in total 2.5 to 3 hours, I think, start to finish, doing a whole layout on the computer. I'll show you. There it is. So put it all on a centralized board as I usually do, work it all out, keeping the effects loop, the reverb, you know, all the standard features, right? But you know, that took me a while, and of course I have to go through it and make sure things are going to be as they are. Now, and he's just gone radio silent, and I can see that he's read the messages, and I can see that, oh, I've messed this up now. Sorry, this is not professional at all, is it? I just know he's ignoring me. So he's on the banned books. So I don't know what to do now. Now, here's the thing. I'm convinced that the Hurricane will fit into a Princeton Reverb size chassis. So you don't have to do it in the JTM chassis. You could do it in a Princeton Reverb chassis, in a Princeton Reverb cabinet, with a 1x12, with your reverb and all your bits. But you could do some really cool aesthetic things with it as well. So here's my call out to you guys. If any of you are interested in a Cornford Hurricane style amplifier, 6v6s this time, still got the reverb, it's got the gain, it's got treble, middle, bass and master, and obviously the reverb control as well. So on a Princeton Reverb chassis, 6 knobs is perfect, 7 can be done, but if you keep it to 6, it's good. So high and low inputs, I think that would be a great amp with 6v6s as well. You voice it right, that thing's going to grind. That's going to be great. More of a modern overdrivey sound than what I usually do, but I think that, I think that's a nice thing to do. So if anyone is interested, do get in touch. I'll do you a good price, because now I've invested in this time and this layout, I really want to build one. So yeah, but there you go. But I should have spotted it from the beginning. If the used market, they're cheap. Nobody's going to have a custom one built, are they? Okay, just spoke to the customer just to confirm. So his initial complaint is that the amp has quite a high level of background noise. So we need to investigate that. It could possibly be that the negative feedback wire was disconnected. I have now resoldered that back into place. I have temporarily hooked up the 240 volt tap to the neutral. I'm going to redo the mains properly, so that's all on the live. And that's what I'll properly. But just for our initial test, that's what we're going to do. I just need to heat shrink that and the old 230 volt tap off. Service as required. He did say that it did have a master volume in this hole, which he had removed, but said actually he would like me to put a post-phase inverter master volume in there if possible. And now that it's had the better output stage wiring, that should be possible. So I'm going to investigate that. And the other thing was, oh yeah, just give it a good service and go through. So that's where we are. Anyway, I can now fire this up on the bench and get our basic measurements. Okay, all powered up on the bench, running at 240 volt. And this thing is a noisy bugger. It really is. So I've currently got it on the load, but we will go to speaker in a second. I've got the microphone down on the cab. So I can hear a lot of white noise. I can also hear like a high-pitched whine going on. Very interesting. Let's start to rotate controls. We'll start with this channel. That brings in a lot of hum. That's a very microphonic V1. Try this channel. That feels like a normal amount of hiss increase compared to its baseline, so I'm not overly worried about that. This one, however, seems excessive. And this one doesn't have as much of a low-end rumble when you turn it up. Let's try the mid control. Not good. Right, let's measure its power. Mid on full. what are we looking for actually? It's a 50 watt amp. So we're into 4 ohms, 50 watts, or 49 watts is 14 volts. So we're looking around there. Okay, let's go. Okay, so it hits quite early on. Back it down a bit. 12 volts. 12 volts is 36 watts. Can we get it to 14? That's 14 volts. Okay, so slightly down on power. Very noisy. Got at least one microphonic preamp valve. In fact, we didn't check microphones on this channel. Yep, that's microphonic too. Oh dear. Okay, so damn good need of a service. Sort the wiring out. Sort the phasing of the output outside. I'm not happy with this cap, so I want to change that. Do that one at the same time. Then we've got to start working out lead dress and things. I mean, look, you've got this wire here just floating up in the air. I think it used to come out of this hole down to pin 8. This hole up here. There's still something in there, look. You see that? You zoom you in. Who's hiding in there? Okay, so we need to do that. I'm not going to do the master volume mod until this amp is sorted. You don't modify a faulty or a sick amp, okay? And any amp tech that doesn't make an amp good first, you make your own mind up. And I did take the baseline bias measurements. So our anode voltage 431, 429, V6 and V5 respectively. Screen voltage 431 and 429. Now I always want that to be a couple of volts lower at least. As long as it's not higher, I'm not that concerned, because when you drive the amp, play the amp, it will sag down slightly. Bias voltage 421, 421, negative of course each side, so we've got a nicely balanced bias supply. I've measured the operating point of the amplifier using the voltage drop method. So voltage from anode to center tap each side, 1.94 and 1.91. The resistance of the winding, 47.4 ohms and 47.9, means we've got 40.9 milliamps on this side, and that's just the anode current, not including the screen, and 39.8 on this side gives us 17.6 and 17.1, which is 58.7 and 57% of maximum. So bias arguably quite cool, but not anywhere in an extreme, and they are closely matched. So at the moment, I'm not worried about the bias. Not worried about the bias. It's just that noise floor is horrendous. So yeah, So yeah, let's start with the basics. Let's get all the basic stuff right first. A good service, a good cleaning, a good tightening. Sort the mains out, sort the output out, sort those caps out, then come back and see where we go. Both James and Henrik ask, where are the balancing resistors for the totem pole capacitors in the high voltage rail of the 70 watt Pro Reverb? Normally when you've got two caps in a totem pole configuration, you've got some balancing resistors in parallel with them to help split the load. But as you notice on here, they're not there. They don't exist. The clue, however, is this orange wire here and this red wire here, along with the black return there. We look on the schematic. Here are the 220. Go on, get focused. Sorry. There they are, the 220 microfarad capacitors, and as you can see, they are split by the 100k 1 watt resistors. So they're on the schematic, but they're not here. Can we see that again? Get you a better view. There we go. You see them in the middle? They're actually located inside the chassis. I'll just flip this one over and show you. So here's the wires coming from the filter stack. Follow them all the way along, and they go to here. And here are the two balancing resistors on a tag strip inside the chassis. So there you go. Hope that answers your question. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching once again. I'm actually racing at Anglesey this weekend, last race of the year. So going all the way to northwest Wales, to the small island of Anglesey, to race on what is arguably the most picturesque UK circuit. It's kind of like a combination between Cadwell Park and Alton Park. The best bits of both, I think. But it's by the sea. You know, you get to the top of the circuit and you're heading back down the hill, and the sea's in front of you with Snowdonia in the background. It's amazing. So really looking forward to that. By the time this video comes out, I will be back from the circuit and home. I think we've got 14 cars in my class this weekend, so it's going to be a competitive one. The weather is looking good. It was a sunny race last year, and it's looking not sunny, but at least cold and dry. So really looking forward to it. Again, last one of the year for me before we start winter prep for next season. So, as always, please give this video a thumbs up. All your comments and questions for next week's Q&A down below. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Roughly only 40% of the viewers, of regular viewers, sorry, are subscribers. So I'd really like you to hit that subscribe button. You may have noticed I put more videos out regularly now. Some of them at different times than usual. So please hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when I put a video out the second it goes live. If you're feeling super generous and you want to support me further, you can join the channel for a small fee, and as you all know, there are some perks to that, and I am always super grateful. I will catch you all at the next one.